Very much. So, open government data for, with, and from reproducible research. I'm going to talk about these 2 points. First, Basel-Stadt. I'm working for the government Basel-Stadt. What are we doing in terms of open government data? And second point, reproducible research, a small example that we've researched in the last couple of months. And of course, I want to inform about upcoming events. But if you decide to sleep through my talk, this is one thing you have to take home. This is data.bs.ch. Please type this in your cell phone and into your iPad. That's where we publish our open government data. And now go back to sleep. Thanks. Open data by default. We have this policy in Basel-Stadt since 2019, since January, I think. I spare you like the translation of this government decision. But the point is, in principle, everything, all the data of Basel-Stadt that is not like legally protected should be published, should be put onto data.bs.ch. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. There's lots to be done. So just to open another little box, what is open data? Aspects of open data, of course, are that they can be freely used, modified and shared by anybody for any purpose. Then data must be legally open, so they have to be placed in the public domain with minimal restriction, again, good license. And they have to be technically open, which is actually my domain, rather. So they have to be published in electronic formats that are machine-readable and non-proprietary. This is open data. What I particularly like about open data and the publication of open data that we do here, and also this is like reflecting on the FAIR principle that we talked about before, that's the findability. So if we, in Basel-Stadt, we get data from Amt für Umwelt Energie, for example, live data about air quality. Then we get data from Staatskanzlei about, for example, voting results. We get live data from Industrielle Werke Basel about electricity consumption or water consumption. Or we get live data from Parkhäuser in the Canton of Basel-Stadt about which parking lots are available and free. They are all put onto Open Data Basel-Stadt, so data.bs.ch. And then, this is not all of it. I mean, it's great if you look at it, we have many features there and good APIs. But the cool thing about this open data publishing cascade is that findability is even increased because we publish these onto Open Data Swiss, which is one of the websites that Simon was talking about before, where it can be found among other data from other Swiss government agencies and other cantons. But the story doesn't end here. You see it. All these data and more also flow to dataeuropa.eu. And there you can find data from Finland, Germany, and little communes and big cities and everything. So I really particularly like this open data publishing cascade, which makes this F in the FAIR principle really usable. So we at Open Data Basel-Stadt, we're 4 people. Some of us are in the audience here. We have loads of work. That means we have to say no to manual labor. Not possible for us to say, okay, you give us this kind of data, give us these Excel sheets, and we're going to transform them and put them on the data platform. No, we have to automate everything. No to manual labor. Everything needs to be automated. And this also leads me to the second point here, reproducibility. As soon as our ETL, extract, transform, load processes are automated, are coded, they can be put in the open, and we have done this. We have a repository, or actually an organization at GitHub, Open Data BS, and if you look at this repository here, it's called data processing, then you will find all our Python code that actually does the data processing. I hope there are no passwords. Please send it to me if there are any passwords. But no, of course, there are none. So everything's open here, and we're really proud of this. Reproducibility. If you look at this illustration that tries to illustrate what reproducible research means and the different aspects, then we can look at the guy here, this person looking at the world, a scientist. He collects data from his environment, he has questions, and he puts this data in a machine-readable format on the internet. Aspect 1 of reproducible research is publishing your data as open data. Then, if you look at the stream of reproducibility here, the next thing are the tools. What kind of tools does this scientist use to analyze and explore and visualize his data? These also need to be published as open source on the internet, ideally. Then the third point is he uses code to use his open source tools specifically for his data, so to answer his questions. And the code, of course, as I say, needs to be open, online, on the internet, and accessible by everybody. And then, in the end, there are some insights, and there's reasoning, and there are results of exploration, some kind of visualization that shows what's going on. They need to be put online too. You get the drill. So 4 different aspects of reproducible research. Let's quickly look at one example at Canton Basel-Stadt, where we have focused on reproducibility and how we did this. So, have we saved electrical energy? So the context is in fall 2022. There were advertising campaigns. Please use less electricity by Basel-Stadt on the left side and by Switzerland and by different other cantons. Now, we have an electricity consumption data set as open government data. So we're ready to try to answer this question using reproducible research. How did we try to do this? We tried to model the expected electricity consumption. The background is, if you look at the raw electrical consumption, then you see that the second half year of 22, we had a lower consumption than the second half year of 2021. But, you know, autumn 2022 had higher temperature than 2021. So we have to take into account the better weather. So what's the expected electricity consumption when we take into account the weather? Is the measured consumption higher or lower than the expected consumption? That's the question here. And we also included holidays, vacation, and events in the model. Results, yes, we have saved energy, but not a lot. I paraphrase this. Officially, it sounds a bit different, but this is actually my one-liner here. So Tobias, one of my colleagues, Tobias Erhard, and his team have done this research. That's a great work. So we saved some energy, but probably not a lot, and not enough probably. But that's a political decision. So if we look again at these 4 aspects of reproducibility, let's look at the first one, data. The data are one of the ingredients for the study. The first aspect, we have 4 different data sets. If you look at data.bs.ch, you see about, I don't know, 130 data sets, and these are 3 of them. First is the electricity consumption. It's a data set that is updated regularly, and we have 1 row, that's the total energy consumption for the whole canton per 15 minutes. So we have really good resolution data. Then we have a second data set which is updated, I think, every day with weather conditions around Basel. And we have a third data set that is provided by a member of our own statistical department. He actually types in all the events and the holidays and vacation and special things. Initially, this was done to use as a predictor variable for bicycle traffic. And now it's being reused to use the holiday and the event data for the electric consumption. For example, Mustermesse use a lot of energy, and sometimes this happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. In certain years, let's not talk about the C word again. You know what I'm talking about. Another aspect here is code and tools. What code and tools have we used for this research? Of course, we use statistical language R, and we used knitter. With knitter, you can actually knit the comments and your reasoning for why you actually use certain statistical methods within the code and create live documents using this. And to do the time series analysis, we used a little framework I think it's by Facebook, if I'm not wrong, which is called Prophet, and which does the statistical heavy lifting. And the code itself is also published online. Together with the reasoning, you can find it here down. So the code and the tools are online, and that's more or less what we used. Fourth and last aspect of reproducible research is the results. So results need to be open. And in our case, we had 3 different kinds of results. First, for me, as one member of OGD Basel-Stadt. This is the most important result. We created a new data set. So we had open government data as input data, and we create open government data with that, namely the expected energy consumption. And this can be used, for example, by you or by anybody else. Our model creates predictions, and these predictions can lead to other research. Please reuse this data. Then we had the joint press statements by different departments here. And we have a scientific article and the presentation that's coming up at the days of official statistics in September in Basel. So a lot of things coming out, and everything's online here. So I'm really happy with this work, and we're proud that we found this out. We're not really, well, I personally am not too proud that we didn't save more energy, but that's a different aspect. So if we look ahead in the future, I'm happy about the reproducibility aspect of this work. But I'm, if the people who know me, I'm not really easy to satisfy here. So I'm not 100% happy with reproducibility because I want self-service reproducibility. What does it mean? Now you can actually look at the code. Now you can look at how the model has been run the last time that somebody of us has run it. What I ideally would like you, everybody here in the room, to be able to go on your cell phones, look at the code and run the code right now. On your cell phone, actually in the cloud, but with an interface through your cell phone. I mean, these platforms exist. Maybe some of you have already used it. I would be happy to talk to you and with you and get some information and experience from you in the room here. For example, RPOPs. There's a type, it's RPOPs, or on GitHub pages or any other things. Please find me after talk and let's talk about how we can put this into reality. Conclusions. Okay, 3 things. Very important, we have open data by default in Basel-Stadt for 4 years now. So everything needs to go online. We have lots of work ahead of us. Please contact us if you need some data that may or may not be in our possession. We are here to help you out. Second, we consume less energy than last year, but only a little. So if this continues, we have to work on this. And this conclusion has been reached using the 4 different aspects of reproducible research. We have open data, we have open tools and open code, and we have open results. Thank you.